All right. Let's get through this fucking thing.
Wow.
Hello everybody. E3 still going strong. 2019. I feel like I'm doing a Rick and Morty intro. Still going strong, Morty. Two more seasons. More conferences. Best thing ever.
Got some money, Morty.
Yeah, we just finished watching the Bethesda conference, so it is time for our reactions to something that was a hot mess. Didn't need to be a conference for sure.
Was that a conference?
I mean, there was a stage and a lot of people on it. Yeah, a weird show. So we'll work through all the stuff in chronological order as we do every time. Although this one's going to be a little bit more sort of spatterdash because it was more spatterdash. So we started out with Fallout 76. They came on and did the whole, hey guys, we totally fucking screwed the pooch, but you played it for some reason, so thanks. And here's all the shit you can look forward to. So Battle Royale is coming to Fallout.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Fuck it. Everywhere else has one.
It does get to a point where you're sort of like, oh, I wish everyone wasn't doing it, but give them a chance.
Yeah, true.
Everyone else has had a go.
And like I do think there's some stuff in 76 that works quite well for this, like the base building stuff could have a really interesting implication. It seemed like at the end, the only time you saw people fight in like the final ring was melee. Kind of like that idea of just like everything breaks, all your guns and shit break, and it's like you survived this long, now actually fight to the death. That's kind of a cool idea.
Interesting end.
Yeah.
If that is the case, obviously.
Yeah, whether that happens or not.
We saw lots of creatures landing and fighting with it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I like the idea of like, imagine like so you're in a battle royale, a dragon thing lands, you and like two other squads have to fight the dragon, and then it's like, okay, we just helped each other kill the thing.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna shoot you in the head.
I feel like 76 is continuing to struggle to find its identity, and this kind of stuff is not helping it. I mean, you said yourself when we were watching it that, I thought this was like Rust. But it looks like a Fallout game, but it's not and stuff like this. I feel like isn't going to help it. It doesn't like. Nothing about this makes me think, oh, okay, this game makes sense.
Yeah.
But no, now it's also a battle royale.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
a Swiss Army game.
But yeah, as you say, give it a chance. It's what's the worst that can happen, right? It stays how it is now, because all we'll get is in a year's time. Hey, we screwed the pooch fucking twice.
Turns out battle royales are oversaturated. Who knew?
So then we got some talk of Elder Scrolls Blades, and it was much the same. It was a we screwed the pooch, but we're going to keep working, and there's a bunch of online community, and thanks, guys. Here's some drops for the night, and we'll keep going. Yeah, that was fine. Then we got something really cool. Then we got Ghostworks Tokyo, which is a game by Tango Gameworks, who are the people who make The Evil Within. And I don't know what the game is. A lot of people have got in touch with me and said it's Hawkeye Simulator from Avengers Endgame. It's just some fucking hooded bow dude in Tokyo. But it had a Rapture kind of vibe to it. People were disappearing in the streets. There were some creatures left over. You kind of said it had a very Evil Within vibe. I got a Dark Soulsy vibe from it. Maybe something from the two.
It's more the kind of imagery they use in Evil Within, and the kind of things becoming other things, and like ink blots becoming, it's kind of what they did it's kind of what they do in the other games. So
yeah, it's got that kind of trippy vibe to it that they're quite good at doing.
You're definitely right about the Rapture thing. I remember while I was watching it and you mentioned the Rapture thing. Rapture thing. That's a whole different game. But yeah, there was one clip where we are looking at the hooded bow guy, and in the background, just in the fog, I could see bodies shooting up into the sky.
Oh, really?
So it's very much a Rapture
that's
thing
cool.
going on, I think.
yeah, it's in that way.
That is a bit like I don't know much about. I can't really say I know much about Japanese culture, but I don't know how that kind of thing would be treated in a culture or a background like that. So it'd be really interesting to see their kind of take on that stereotype, I suppose. Then we got a bunch of woos, a whole fucking bunch of woos.
Woo!
There was one dude going nuts in this show. Then we got Commander not so keen on this. Commander keen, a mobile shmup game kind of, in which you invent, and I quote directly, wacky contraptions to take down the bad guys. They made a big point of saying that Commander Keen is like it's a big game from the 90s that, and actually now thinking about it, I have heard of it before. I remember reading about it in, I think, Ready Player One. And it just seems like why like this should have been a new IP, right? Like it doesn't seem to tie in any way. I can't imagine that anyone that played the original games is like, oh fuck me, I'm gonna get the iPhone out for this one. But I would have been really interested to see Bethesda be like, yeah, we're gonna launch a new IP on mobile and actually try and dedicate something to it. Like it. One of the big criticisms against them is they're just tagging stuff onto franchises, and this isn't going to help, I don't think.
Yeah, for sure. And it's one of these mobile games you see that you just kind of instantly go, well, it's a mobile game, I'm never going to play it.
Yeah, it had a very Gears Pop vibe going on. Yeah, kind of a shame. Also, like, again, we kind of get that we're quite negative on this. Like,
C3.
Yeah. It's difficult not to be, and we get that there's like real people behind all this stuff and real people developing this and coming up with these ideas. But I think the bigger criticism of all of this is not the game itself, but how it's marketed. All of these games can work and can make sense. You know, there are still people playing Fallout 76. There's still an audience for this. It's just how you talk about it and all that kind of stuff. Rage 2 was up next. And it got a pretty cool trailer for its DLC.
Really cool trailer.
Yeah, it had a kind of 80s sitcom vibe going for it. I would be interested to see how much of that actually carries through to the gameplay. If it's just like that's their way of advertising it. If it was actually like...
Yeah, that's what the vibe I was getting. I don't think it's part of the game. It was just a clever way of saying some new stuff.
Yeah, it would be nice to see it carry over. It'd be cool if, like, you know, you did a cool thing in the game and it stopped and introduced you every now and then, had a kind of constantly expanding too many cooks thing going on. That'd be cool. But yeah, I've been playing Rage 2 a lot recently. It's a really awesome game. So yeah, more of it is a good thing. What do we have next? Wolfenstein VR was the next big announcement.
Yeah, I was expecting a VR announcement of some sort from somebody. Surprisingly, I didn't think it was going to come from Bethesda, but then now I think about it, you know, they've done Fallout VR, they've done Skyrim VR.
Oh, yeah.
Why
Yeah.
not? I guess, you know, it's just another one, another step.
This didn't look as clearly Wolfenstein.
Yeah, they've gone for like a mini game style this time.
Yeah.
Which I think works better for VR a little bit. I think we're going to start seeing. So I've always said this from the start with VR. It's not. I don't see it as a viable gaming platform for serious games. And they've tried to launch, you know, the full Fallout 4 game and the full Skyrim VR game. No one's sitting in VR for that long to complete like the 600 hours of Skyrim that exists. Like, that's just silly. Yeah. But having small mini games where you can get, you know, you can pay 10, 20 minutes, get a little bit of exercise, playing something cool that's linked to one of your favourite franchises, I think it works a bit better.
Yeah, and until we fix the issue of motion in those games, like how you move about, those larger scale games are gonna struggle anyway. It's
easy. You just fork out £800 for an Omni, an Omni treadmill,
or teleport everywhere. Yeah, so something like that won't make a huge amount of sense. So yeah, this is the right way to go with VR. And if they have to attach it to a franchise, I guess Wolfenstein is the next one, I suppose.
Yeah, that's cool.
Then we got Wolfenstein Youngblood, which gets I've written down got a release date of July, but I can't believe that we didn't know that release date already. It would surprise me if they're like, yeah, this game's out in 4 weeks. That's not a lot of time.
We still haven't seen that much from it.
No, we didn't. We did get a much more fleshed out trailer, and I will say it was a good trailer. Lots of fast run and gun action. The two characters had that typical kind of video game protagonist back and forth, which is neither here nor there. But they seemed cool, and the story seemed interesting. So yeah, it's a good Wolfenstein game for sure. Next up, we have my favorite trailer of the show so far, which is Deathloop. It's coming from Arcane, and the theme of E3 this year apparently is going to be mobile and Groundhog Day. It is two characters pitted against each other in a fight to the death. One of them wins, and they start the loop again. And it seems there's like a whole kind of We Happy Few-ish world attached to it. And attached to whether they survive or whether who wins and doesn't. That was all good.
The lesson they learn is they need to work together. Let's be honest, we know that's going to be the ending of it.
You are yin and yang. You are one.
So then we got into one of the more puzzling parts of the conference, which was they announced Orion, which is...
Yeah. I don't know what it is. They talk about it being a streaming service, but it was kind of sold as a plug-in for an engine of some sort.
Yeah, the suggestion was that it's like it attaches to your engine in some way.
So that you can stream it through Orion, which is apparently better than the other streaming services they're being offered because you can run it with less bandwidth.
Yeah, to be honest, the thing that really got me with it was just they were kind of like, your packets run faster and each frame will run faster. It just doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah, like it seemed like they were saying we can make this happen, but without in any form explaining how or why. As you said, they've mentioned that it works at engine level, and I heard them mention at some point in the show that it will work with all in open brackets and quotation marks engines, but like how? Like, is this a thing that Bethesda plans to sell to companies and say, if you want it to stream on Orion, plug this into your engine, develop your game with it? Because if so, that really fucks any game that's been made up to this point. Like, have they built their games with Orion in mind, or are they just going to stream future stuff? And if that is how it's working, making a huge assumption that is the way it's working, but if it is, why would any company do that? Like, other than to have Bethesda exclusives, I suppose, but like, it seems like it would be a lot easier route to go down xCloud, Stadia, whatever PlayStation has, that won't require a plugin that will work with the games. I can see how this would make an improvement. I can see how streaming directly from the engine tech rather than the output tech might work. As I'm racking my brains, the only way I can see from what they've said and what I think it is, so it's at an engine level, so it's at the point that the game's compiled. So perhaps the game's being compiled in a way that when it is streamed through one of these services, if you have compiled it using Orion, it will work better for being streamed. I.e., hence them saying, you use Orion, it'll work at a lower bandwidth on the other. So maybe they're trying to sell something to improve on the other streaming services. I didn't see it as a streaming service as on its own.
Yeah, no.
So it's less a streaming tech and more almost a compression tech.
Yeah, perhaps. This is all speculation, obviously.
I think it would have to be.
But then,
to actually deliver what they're saying, I think it would have to be some sort of compression tech.
Yeah,
but then,
to say it's at engine level, you make the game in the engine and then you compile it and then you send it off. That's it. Like, the game's not connected to the engine for the rest of its life. That's not how it works. So it can only be something like that.
It's a weird announcement to put. If that is what it is, it's a very weird announcement to put slap bang in the middle of a consumer-facing show.
Very. Made me feel uncomfortable how confident they were on stage.
Yeah.
They were like, these are the things it does. See you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, I think. Thanks for that info, I guess.
Yeah, it's still very much up in the air about what it is or how it works or really anything on it. They did show somebody supposedly playing Doom off of it. I don't think that was being played in real time. It didn't look accurate in any way, and I don't know what that means. It might just be that somebody was playing it off stage and they were there to model it. You know, I'm not trying to cast aspersions one way or another, but it didn't look... Something about this whole segment didn't look and feel right. What was being said didn't click. What was being promised didn't click. How it works didn't click. And what was shown as the output didn't click. And that feels like a bad footing to go on.
My main issue, and I get that, there's a reason why they displayed it the way they did. But, if they had a camera set up recording... or filming someone playing on an Xbox controller with a little mobile screen above it.
Yeah.
Now, okay, I get that you're trying to show off that it's being played at the same time, but I get the feeling there's a reason why it wasn't big on the screen instead of kind of the small thing. Because I think when we were watching it, we could see that it wasn't actually that detailed on the screen.
Yeah.
I think there's a bit in it, you could see the person's hand quite detailed, but the actual screen and what's on there wasn't.
But this is what I mean is if it's not a streaming service, then what were they actually showing there?
Well, that's what brings me back to my point. You're saying not being detailed. I can see it being a plug-in for an engine where it's sort of when the game recognises the bandwidth is so low, it will drop the quality of everything. The same way we see on video streaming services, you go down from 1080p, 720p to potato. It'll be the exact same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it should be, but that's not the way they sold it.
Yeah, their whole pitch was you can play at max settings on basically any internet.
Yeah, they're going to say that, right?
Yeah, of course.
Well, yeah.
My internet provider says I get 300 megabits a second.
Yeah, it was a really weird section of the show. I think we're in for a lot of streaming talk this time around. The UB stream or whatever it is has been leaked already. EA, I don't know whether they did or didn't. But that will.
No, sorry.
Stream. And Nintendo, we already know, are partnering with Xbox in some form. So I wouldn't be surprised if we heard maybe a little something. I would be surprised if this is the one that comes out of any of this as successful, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, when you really look at the competition it's going to be up against, it's going to come down to the library of games, I think. At the moment, it's between xCloud and Stadia. They've got both got pretty tasty lineups for games. I don't see Orion coming forward going, oh, well, we've convinced some studios to go with it.
Yeah.
And we got Doom.
Yeah.
Give us £15 a month. I don't know. I don't think we can speculate much more until we find out what it actually is.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But speaking of Doom, that brought us to the last thing of the conference, which was a deep dive on Doom, and fuck me, deep it was. We saw so much Doom, too much Doom.
I was doomed.
Not that it's a bad thing. All the gameplay looked great. It was smooth. It was uber violent. All the shooting was, it was exactly what you think of for Doom, especially running on the latest engine. It was, as you'd expect, beautifully polished, well done, but it didn't. The pacing of it was really, really weird. It went to a bit of gameplay here, to a bit of talking, a bit of gameplay there, to a bit of talking, a lot of gameplay, then some talking, then some talking, then some. It didn't flow like a conference. Doom looks great.
Yeah, it was
definitely.
It was literally as you just said. They like every typical reveal / gameplay show, whatever. They started off the talk with a video of Doom.
Yeah.
Then the people came out, blah blah blah. We're this, that, and the other from Doom. We make Doom. Doom's good. This is Doom. This is the history of Doom. Look at some Doom video. Did you like that? Well, that's not just that. We're now doing Doom multiplayer as well. Doom's cool. Play with your friends. Cue the Doom video. It's like we had like three separate Doom gameplay videos that,
Yeah.
to me, who doesn't play Doom, kind of just all looked the same-ish. It looked amazing. It looks really, really fun, actually. But yeah, a lot too much to take in, I think.
Yeah, and
No, that's fair. Like, I can say the same thing. It's kind of just you didn't need to show 3 of those. You know?
And Doom is one of those games for sure that plays better than it looks. Like it wasn't unfun to watch somebody playing that, and it was picture perfect gameplay, so not surprising. But that's one of those ones I can imagine where watching somebody play it makes you want to play it. Makes you play it, and it's very fun because of how fluid and fast it is. So watching it once was like, oh yeah, cool, that's fucking Doom, that looks good. And then watching it the second time was like, all right, well, I'm excited to play this now. And the third time was like, great, I just want to play it or not be watching it. And then by like the fourth and final time, I was like, that's enough. We've deep dived in quite enough.
I think the other thing is if you're going to deep dive, it shouldn't be like just like sizzle reel. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of. It. But then the problem is, so we did get a kind of extended demo. Like, I get what you mean, that it should be a wider dive into, like, you should see point A to point B. Yeah. What is this like? How does it play? But the problem is that we did see that. We did see a point A to point B. Here's all the things you'll do in Doom. It's just such a fast-paced game.
Yeah.
Like, you...
Yeah, but you yourself on that bit said that's not, like... What did you say? You didn't believe it, right? He burst the door and it was like...
Well, no, but so you compare it to the company who are known for doing the deepest of dives. You compare it to Sony. The Ghost of Tsushima deep dive, for example, was played pitch perfectly as well. They didn't miss a shot. They didn't miss the other. They shot... Everything was great. But it's a slower game with a slower build to it, so it's not hard to stop and smell the roses and shit on the way. Whereas if with Doom they were like, they had him walk out slowly onto the battlefield of Mars and look at all this tech that we've spent in the light, it just wouldn't. It's got to be bang bang shoot smack bam laser bam cuts chains are up the arse. Like it. That's how the game plays and how they want it to come across. So
yeah, but I mean, they kept doing cuts. Like
yeah, that's true.
That's what I meant.
Okay, I hear you there. Do
you think they actually had about 3 hours of Doom footage, and there's someone in the back going, "We've paid for 2 hours of stage time. Run the clip, James. Run the clip. Play me off, Johnny."
And then that was it. That was all she wrote. No one more thing, which I'm surprised at the lack of no one more thing so far this time around.
Right till the end, I still expected and by the way...
Yeah, I did too. I thought, especially as like a lot of the big thing that I think we said coming out of the conference was this didn't need to be a conference. It could have been a Nintendo Direct style thing in which it's just, here's half an hour, here's all the big announcements, here's a bit less fanfare about the mobile stuff, but it fits in more. Here's a bit more fanfare about like the Arcane stuff and the Elder Scrolls stuff. And then here's the deep dive on Doom. Yeah. And because they had a stage presence, I was expecting here's the reason we paid for a stage. Here's the blowout. And Doom was great. Arcane was great. The Elder Scrolls stuff, if you're into that, probably looked really good. But it didn't justify what it was this year for the first time. And I'm kind of surprised because Bethesda have been up against it for a few years where people have said, well, what are they going to bring this time? And they've always managed to go, well, actually, here's Doom, Dishonored, this, that, the other. For the first time this year, I think it was clear that they didn't need to have a conference.
I think Todd set the tone at the start and it kind of followed all the way through to the end. It was we're still here and we're still making games.
Yeah.
Don't kind of write us off.
Yeah, so this is the thing. So it's like, Bethesda Game Studios, what's on their one?
Bethesda GameWorks.
Yeah.
Softworks? Or did they change it?
Oh, Jesus.
But the Bethesda studio.
Bethesda's mainline studio.
Beth.
Like, if it wasn't for, Arcane and id, and why not Tango with Evil Within?
Yeah.
Like, what have they done? Like, in a while.
Yeah, like the actual Bethesda Softworks one.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I mean, to be fair,
Did they do Fallout 76?
yeah,
It
76.
is them, yeah.
76, Elder Scrolls Online, that stuff. And, like, to be fair, we've seen them putting games out with somewhat more regularity than previous years. You think Fallout 4, a year and a bit after Fallout 76, with Elder Scrolls Online going the whole way.
Yeah.
It's just they're not putting out the focused single-player stuff they once did, so it doesn't feel like quite the same impact, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of the curses of a games for games as a service kind of industry is if every update comes out every month is free and has little impact, you don't get quite the same weight of feeling of picking up and playing the game. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just stuff like this isn't going to work in the same way going forward. It will look like a different E3. And Ubisoft have managed to nail that perfectly. So it will work. It just didn't here. So God, it feels like the best for Bad Bunch to say Microsoft is still kind of in the lead here, but oof.
Microsoft put out a stellar performance. It was solid. Bethesda came with the same kind of format of we're doing what we do.
Yeah.
It just, as we know, Microsoft does more. So that's the only reason why they're ahead.
Yeah, that's totally fair. It was both had their ups and downs. Both had totally shaky moments. Both had some quite cool but not earth-shattering stuff. Neither has rocked the boat.
Yeah.
Bethesda didn't need to.
Yeah, didn't need to be there. Yeah.
Cool. Any closing thoughts?
I mean, so they both didn't have that many ups. That was the only thing.
Didn't have that many
Ups.
Oh, right.
In my mind. It's kind of...
Yeah. I think there were some ups from both. So I would say that the Arcane Law trailer looked amazing.
Yeah.
The Doom gameplay looked really cool. The Rage trailer was really good. There were some ups in that. I think the Blair Witch trailer in Xbox looked amazing. The Keanu and the Cyberpunk stuff was really fucking cool.
What about Bethesda or Xbox at the moment?
Xbox's stuff now.
Okay.
Sort of comparing the two. The stuff they
gameplay from Bethesda.
Sorry,
We saw more gameplay.
we
from
did.
Bethesda.
We saw a lot more
It was
gameplay.
the opposite side of the scale one. It was a bit. There is something we haven't touched on. The robot staff that are Bethesda.
Oh yeah.
What on earth?
It was. I mean, look, they're all lovely, I'm sure, but it didn't.
I think it comes back to that idea of don't forget about us. Remember, you know what I mean? There's a really strong message of like, so you was joking around, Cam, doing and we're Bethesda and and we're making games from Bethesda. Where have we been making them? You say Bethesda.
But
He said it about 50 times in like the first opening statement. If we were doing a drinking game where every time we said Bethesda, I don't think I would have made it through the quote unquote.
we nearly didn't anyway.
That's true.
Yeah, it is a good point. They did have that kind of like, we're still Bethesda. I think actually, I wonder maybe if that's more damage control than we're even giving them credit for. I wonder if it was a case of maybe they knew that this year we're addressing 2 games that are online services and have failed out the gate, a pretty big bunch of mobile games, and a single core title for this year that's a deep dive. Maybe that was just a way of saying, listen, we know this is not our A game.
Yeah.
We're still making shit.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, Todd was there pretty much to say, we're still doing Starfield and ES6 eventually.
Yeah. It was the part of the comments we kind of glazed over. Because it was at the end of one of Todd's talks. It was like, okay, we're kind of fed up with you talking right now. Todd talks.
Yeah.
We should pitch that to him. It was kind of at the end of one of the talks, and we'd started to chat about some of the things he'd said, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, and we're still working on this, and this. See you guys." And
yeah.
Like, whoa, what's going on? But yeah, he kind of did even his attitude. Actually, if you want to talk about Todd as his performance that he put on, felt a little bit tail between the legs. It wasn't his showmanship self.
That's
of
true. Yeah, it wasn't.
Look how
year.
cool Bethesda is. It was we're Bethesda guys. Let's not forget that. Let's show loads of showreel of all our stuff being forced to say how great Bethesda is.
Yeah, a really weird conference for sure.
I don't think they need to do that though. I mean, I feel like Bethesda, in my eyes, are kind of known for that company that turns up every 4 years with an absolute banger that lasts for 10 years. Like, it's always worth the wait.
I think that's the problem, is they've set themselves up to do this conference every year, and it just means that for most of this year,
I don't think they need to. How much cooler would it be if every 4 years you're like, oh, this is the year Bethesda's here?
Yeah, I mean that was how some of these companies used to do it. Like back in, anywhere between 2007 and 2012, 2013, you'd be like, oh, who's doing E3 this year? Oh, fuck me, it's Konami. What the hell are they bringing? Yeah, whereas now we kind of get, and I think it's because these companies have purchased and bought more studios, so they are pumping more out. We just don't think about it in the same brand. Like Square will have a big show tomorrow night, and they'll talk about everything from Final to Avengers to Tomb Raider to this, that, the other, and the other stuff. And that you won't all think about it as Square games. Mm-hmm. So to some extent, it doesn't need to be under that umbrella. But yeah, it would be nice if they took a break from E3 for a little bit and just went, 2 years' time, we're coming back for a conference, we've got the amphitheatre, here's Starfield, it's out this year.
Yeah. Spend all that money on some other marketing stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hire a slightly calmer dude to scream in the audience.
Yeah.
Woo! Woo! All right, that was that. It's very late. We're going to go crash and get ready for day 2. Those were the conferences. Pretty okay day so far. Nothing stellar, nothing terrible. Thank you for coming along for the ride. We hope you're enjoying E3 as much as we are, even though we're not sounding overly positive about it. We will see you tomorrow for all the other conferences, which is kind of funny. Kind of funny. Square Enix, Ubisoft, and I think there's one more, the PC Gaming Show. And until then, it's been a pleasure. Come along, click on all the other things. There's a playlist of E3 2019. Come and listen to our reaction to everything. We will see you tomorrow, and the game is up.